have ChatGPT nowadays, right? So with ChatGPT, you literally go in and say, hey, ChatGPT, what are the equations? Oh, there's two equations for the foil, one for the lift, one for the drag. Oh, great. Okay. So do you know the equation? Yeah, sure. It just keeps just answering. Okay, so ChatGPT then. I'm making ChatGPT work, and then I used up all the used up all the code. I can solve the equation. Long story short, he never did it, but they got an upgrade. They got an upgrade. So 2 months later, I pick where I left. I'm like, ChatGPT. What you gonna do? Yeah.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the X-Foils. Thanks for tuning in. I'm sitting here with George, fellow friend. We got a lot of history together, fellow foiler. So I think it would be a lot of fun to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me over. I appreciate it, yeah.
I have you on not because you're my absolute last option.
That works.
No. We were sitting down the other day, and we were talking, and you're always very techie about the foil talk and, you know, your gear you're riding and why you ride it. And then I tested your stuff out, and I didn't love it. So we were like, you know, talking about that a little bit. And I was like, damn, every time I sit down and talk to George, I feel like it should be on a podcast. It should be on the X-Foils at least. So we have a lot of history, which is really cool because you came to Playa del Carmen a long time ago. You were kiting with us. I was teaching your wife. I don't know
Kite surfing.
Kite surfing. Yeah. Why, did I say kiteboarding? Or what did I say?
Yeah, she was, but not me. Yeah, I was kite surfing. I'm trying, yeah.
We didn't have much waves in Playa del Carmen.
Yeah, but I was practicing.
Yeah. And I think back in 2014.
It sounds about right. Yeah, about 10 years ago.
Yeah, you're probably one of our first kite foil lessons in Playa del Carmen.
Was it the slingshot? Yeah, it was a slingshot gear?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those aluminum slingshot, kill yourself.
Yeah. Well, short 15-centimeter mast. I mean, look,
Tiny. It was like...
George, I had no idea what I was doing back then. I knew how to foil.
It was a 30 centimeters, right? It was
no,
barely,
15.
Like 15. It was barely anything,
yeah,
right?
like
It was just like a
this
bottle.
long.
Yeah, okay.
Just enough to like give you some flight.
Just pop above the water, maybe not.
And I mean, nobody had any information. Nobody knew what to do or how to teach it or what was the best. But foils were crazy. Like, they weren't very efficient. They didn't provide a lot of lift. They weren't very stable. So the best thing to do was keep it short. You know, so
I think it was right. Yeah. I think.
And you're talking. Do you remember those lessons or?
Yeah, I was like top in the water, bouncing up and down, just trying to think, is that the right thing? You obviously had your master setup. It was slightly more elaborate. It was 60, right? It was 60 or 70 centimeters.
Like my setup?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was probably 80.
Yeah, 70 or 80. Yeah, it looks like humongous, but you know, by the standards back then, and you look good on it. Yeah. I was surprised. Yeah, I wanted to look the same. Yeah, so I tried.
Yeah. So after that lesson, how long did it take you to like invest your money, your time into learning how to kite foil? Was it immediate or?
Well, I had the misfortune of going to, I think it was the British Virgin Islands. Mm-hmm. With the buddies, the whole crew with the friends, and we went on a catamaran, and the wind was just pathetic. I tried, and it was just not enough wind, and the kite kept falling out of the sky. But I got a few rides. Here and there. And when I went back home, and maybe 3-4 more days, so actually the surfboard was not that hard. It didn't take me long. No.
So let's say 2014, you took like a lesson with us. I'm gonna try to find the photo because I'm sure I have a photo. It was probably Jean-Charles. Remember the French guy?
You're absolutely right. I was riding the next year in Mexico. Yeah, I was already foiling. Yeah.
And that's when it all changed.
It's all changed. Yeah,
the whole industry was changing by then. So it like to get it right at the beginning and kind of like transform and grow into it. I mean, we'll talk about it because everyone that I have had on the podcast, they're all warm water kiters. kite
Yeah, and
surfers, foilers.
I'm an exception.
You know, you're from San Francisco, which there's a huge like foil scene there, and there was really early on. So did you see it beforehand in the Bay Area when you were kite surfing, or?
Oh, absolutely. The Chrissy Field, man. I mean, think about it. The Johnny was our local champion, Johnny Heineken, yeah.
Yeah.
He was out there. They had the whole crew racing. I didn't bother. No, didn't. For some reason, was not my thing. I love waves, right? So,
Yeah.
so and I would show up with my inflatable kite, and they were all on these ram jets, you know, and you know, look down on me, and that's all right. It's all good. I
Yeah.
didn't care much. Yeah.
You were more into the flow of things.
Absolutely, absolutely. They'll go crazy, they'll go fast, and I would just enjoy being out in the water, watch them race, and chat up. You know, have a couple of beers after the race, after they're done. Easy enough.
Yeah. You were coming to Playa del Carmen, and it wasn't that windy in Playa del Carmen, so learning how to foil and foiling there was kind of the only option.
Surfboard, borderline
Yeah.
surfable on a 14, yeah, not every day.
Yeah.
But the foil would work every day, except I didn't know how to do it the first year. The
Yeah.
next year was much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next year was easy.
So when we moved here, we set up shop. I guess we stayed in touch on Facebook or something. You guys found us, and then you started coming to Puerto Rico instead.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And you come here every year, and this year, particularly, we didn't have like a great season. We didn't have a lot of wind. George shows up, wind every day.
Yeah, I have that luck. I'll take the credit. Yeah, I'll take the credit. Yeah.
The
But I do bring with me, believe it or not. You know, and it happened. This is not the only place where I did it. You know, my sister, she bought a place in Turkey, and they have amazing setup there. It's all no foiling, no winging, but it's all the kite school, bunch of kite school, European style, big line, different brands, all set up. Literally hundreds of kiters, not like here. You know, we have 20, 30 people.
Yeah, it's a very small.
I might have a picture somewhere, but yeah, it's a Euro style with a 200, 300 people out there busy, on top of each other, kite schools, 20 kite schools at least. Beautiful place. It's all thermal.
And your sister has a place there, or?
Oh yeah, she bought a place. So
Nice.
she goes there for summer. Lots of Russians.
Lots of Russians.
Ex-Russians, yeah. Expats mostly, yeah. But I'm drifting here.
This is the whole point of a podcast, is to drift.
Oh yeah,
Because we have no plan, we need to tell stories, George.
Well, that one is a good one. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned no wind, right? So they sat there for 20 days before I showed up, and boom, I brought the wind. We started nuking every day.
I mean, you get lucky here every single year, man.
Why
Summertime, it's pretty consistent, and it has been. This year in particular, I mean, we just had a hurricane pass by.
Yeah, on the other side, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
We had 1 days with waves, just one.
yeah,
Easy
kind of
enough.
kicked up the waves a little bit. We should have gone south. There would have been waves over there, but it's
Francisco mentioned, yeah, that he did drive. Yeah, he made an effort, and they said so it was a good size. I mean, I don't know what the good size means.
I mean,
Probably
so-
6, 7 feet, 8 feet, maybe.
yeah, it's so hard to tell with these storms that pass by. It could be hit, it could be miss, it could be dangerous. You know, you never know how close it could start turning north. So you got to be careful with those storms. But
Yeah,
I would have been happy to head south and catch some strong wind. I was hoping it would hit the north coast a little bit more. I'm being selfish here, right?
I think he got you 30 minutes or what?
Yeah, 30 minutes of I don't know, it was 25, 30 miles an hour. It's a little bit more windy than typical, but that was it.
Yeah, I was not.
And I was kiting. And every time the wind comes in and it's getting strong, I still have that
Urge.
that
urge
itch,
to jump.
that urge to go kiting.
Yeah, go
and jump.
go big. Yeah.
I mean,
I miss it too. I miss it once in a while. Yeah.
I don't know if you follow the kiteboarding, but there's this whole big air scene now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right?
It's San Francisco, same thing. Yeah.
Which is way cooler than what it was, or what was more portrayed. It was more like freestyle, and you know, this low kite kind of movement, and that's what was cool about it. But it kind of followed wakeboarding a little bit more than what kiteboarding really is like big air, right? So big air kind of resonates more with it.
What's that tool that you measure the height when you jump?
Surfer.
No, the other one, the original one. They came
Oh,
out.
the Woo.
The Woo, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember about the V1 version of it. Trying to remember what year was it. 15 or 16. I got that thing and I glued it to my board, and
Glued it to your
and all my body is like, George, you wasted. It was fairly expensive. The first version, like $250. Like, I had a Japanese friend Yamamoto, and he's like, George, you bought it? Yeah, I bought it. Look, I'm gonna beat your butt. I'm gonna jump harder than you are. And I did. And it was not very high. No, I'm not that good at the, with
Well,
the
how are they
20.
going to know if they don't buy it as well?
Yeah, and I think the most I clocked was 10 meters. That's the best.
That's
I ever
pretty
jumped.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well,
You're
yeah,
big.
for somebody who's only was on the water for like a year and a half.
You're a big boy.
Yeah,
you
and
need
I'm
some
a
good
heavy guy.
wind.
And I was on my 14, and I milked it. Yeah,
14?
14.
It's
yeah.
hard to get 10 meters on a 14, honestly.
That's the only way I could do it. Yeah.
Really?
There's no way I could get anything else lift me up. Yeah, 210 pounds back then, 15. Yeah, I lost some weight now. Yeah. I'm a little less now. And I stopped climbing, so
Yeah.
my body weight came down.
Can you tell me a little bit about the scene, like back in your home spot? Because I went there to visit you, and we went to two spots, I guess. We went
3 spots. We did 3 spots.
really. So we went kite surfing and
There's the wave spots,
Waddell?
Waddell, yeah.
Okay.
And there's Davenport next to it, perfect for windsurfers and wingers. My go-to spot nowadays.
For
Since
winging. I mean, that day we went kite surfing. I would not
Yeah,
have been winging that
You
day.
cannot. The shore break is ridiculous. Yeah, it's not good for. Even if you windsurfer, that spot gets tricky. If it gets overhead and double overhead and triple overhead,
And there was a lot of, not seaweed, but what is that? Like kelp?
kelp.
Or-
Yeah, there's a kelp down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some kelp. Yeah, you have to work it, especially in the fall time. You came in fall, right?
Yeah.
So the fall, the kelp gets tricky, but it's beautiful. It gets big. It's a shore break. You get a short ride.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest I've been there maybe 18 feet.
Damn.
Beyond that, I would chicken out.
Yeah.
I think everybody would chicken out because the shore break, there is no rescue.
It's
there is
crazy.
nothing. Yeah. So you're on your own. If you mess up and the rip is huge, you might or might not be able to swim back. I had a local guy pull me out once. Yeah, I bought him beers. I pulled the girl out once, and I brought one other person out on a big day. So it can get really messy if you mess up.
Are there often like Coast Guard rescues?
There
and
is no
boat
Coast Guard.
rescues there?
No, you cannot do Coast Guard rescue.
No way?
No.
Too
Unless
far
you
away?
unless somebody grabs the board and swim, or some fellow kite surfer pulls you behind them. Like look what happened to me. I dropped my kite, right?
Yeah.
The wave comes crashing, you get tangled, you have to eject. Or it'll suck you underwater. You have no other choice, right? So you eject and you're swimming, and it'll rip you, take you back out. You'll swim in a circle. Circle is about 30 minutes. You come close to shore every 30 minutes. You may or may not make it. So
Yeah.
it could be a couple hours, mess, unless somebody have a mercy on you and comes and pulls you out.
Yeah. And it's cold.
Yeah, it
I
gets
think that's
cold,
the
yeah.
biggest risk.
Yeah,
Here-
that's the lady
here
I
I'm not
pulled.
worried.
She did 2 circles. She was blue. She couldn't hold on to me,
Ugh.
so I took my leash and hooked onto her harness and pulled her in. And
Damn.
yeah, you gotta be careful.
Rescue George.
Just once. Don't give me too much credit. No, I don't deserve it. Yeah.
No, I mean, like anybody would do the same, right? Like,
Absolutely.
In
Yeah.
that
I mean, we had a
situation.
good group. The group there is amazing. Yeah, very caring. Yeah.
Um,
So that's one spot, right? You asked how many spots, right?
yeah, but so we were kite surfing there.
So we were
it's a
kite
shore
surfing.
break.
Yeah. You
Do-
got lucky. We had a good swell, maybe 10 to 11 feet.
Yeah, it was,
it was
it was
nice.
super fun.
It was overhead. I mean, not double overhead, but it was above. Yeah.
Do you wing foil there?
The one next over, like just literally 5 miles south,
Yeah.
is a beautiful spot for wingers. It's too small for kite surfers, but it has a big channel, deep, nice channel. And unless it's low tide, or it gets really big, like 20 feet, then you can get out.
Yeah.
But anything smaller than 20 feet and not a low tide, you can get out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can get out, and it
Nice.
gets big. It gets big. I had a ton of beautiful big days this, past winter there.
You don't kite surf anymore, right?
Not really, no.
Very rare?
Well, think about it. At the Delta spot we were, right? I
Yeah.
would get maybe 6, 7 turns, and it would be over, and then it just escaped the wave, crushing wave behind
Yeah.
you big. If you with the wing,
Also, that's
a 2-minute ride.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful 2-minute ride on the shoulder, all the way from outside. You see you go in, you go out. You control how much of the wave you want it. I mean, it could be crushing on top of your head. That's just how I killed 2 wings this year. But
yeah.
or it could be just beautiful, easy ride on the shoulder and all the way in, and you use the channel to get out and just do it again and again.
George, I don't think you have to convince anybody that foiling is better.
No, you'll be surprised. Well,
No, it's a totally different sensation,
Different. The
right? I'm just
windsurfers-
wondering if you get that urge, because it's a different kind of power and push, right, under your board.
The speed is different.
Yeah.
The G's when you're carving on the big waves are unbelievable. Sometimes, like, I feel my knee like buckles because there's, you go close to 40 miles an hour. You got to do the bottom turn. The bottom turns it just compresses the hell out of you. It's just the rush is unbelievable. And you have the wave. Like, I mean, the guys would tell me, "Hey, George, it was just right above you. Did you see it? It was gonna catch your wing." I'm like, "Sorry, I was too busy trying not to crash." Right? I can't tell.
You can't even tell.
I can't tell. It's like, "Oh, dude, you crashed."
Wave of your life, and you had no idea.
He was right on top of you. I thought he was gonna eat it. I didn't.
Well, if I looked back and saw the wave, I would have eaten it. Right? Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I know it's hard to get rid of that sensation of those long rides. And I mean, today I had 20 miles on foil. It's
20
just-
miles. Yeah, I mean, you did it fast. I have no idea how you do it so fast yet. It's not me. I got to get there.
I'm fast.
Next adventure. Not doing it yet, maybe.
The sup downwind foil, yeah.
I tried it a couple times, and
Oh, really?
I tried it at Tahiti. Went there last summer. The scene there is beautiful.
Yeah.
Lots of locals, very friendly, super friendly. Beautiful downwinders. They have all the gear from Hawaii. But it's tricky, we're so lucky. We're so lucky down in San Francisco, a lot of wind. It's a tropical destination, less wind than here.
Yeah.
More finicky. Like I've been there 2 weeks and I got maybe 6 days, so every other day.
Okay.
Best, yeah. Not quite the same.
But you were trying to do sup.
Yeah. One of the guys was kind enough to give me one of the newer boards, and I paddled up and I crashed right away. But I did get on the foil for 2 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a start.
It's a start. Yeah.
You have a paddling background? Like you ever did sup
Yeah, I
surfing?
did a ton of sup. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Down in Tahoe. Yeah, in Tahoe. Yeah, it's
Oh, come
easy
on.
enough. There's nothing else to do. It's just paddle.
Yeah.
With my kids. 2 kids, one in the front, one in the back.
One of those like big boards for 15 people. It's
No.
easy to stand
well,
on.
we rented one of those too. I had good group come in, and we had literally 20 people. One of those inflatables with the supersize. The one the guys in Hawaii tried to ride on the
Yeah, I know.
on a
I
big
saw
wave.
that. It's hilarious. Somebody has one here. It's super funny.
It's super fun. You bring your beer in it. Oh, speaking of the beer, let me take a quick sip. Yeah. You get that thing going, and I try to do the dog start with that thing. Clear up one side and try to run off the side.
Oh, I see.
And I had everybody accelerate, so I have to work less.
Oh, okay.
It almost worked, but I had
That's
too many beers. I had
hilarious.
too many beers.
Is that the only foiling you can do in Tahoe? You get some wind, right? You could wing it.
It literally gusts to 20 for 10 minutes, and then drops to 0, and then gusts to 20.
So it's
And
complicated.
I couldn't kite, I tell you that much.
Yeah.
But with the wing, it's beautiful because, you just sit on the board for 10 minutes, who cares? You pop up and you ride around. There's lots of people showing off with the fancy boards. I mean, people have money. It's Tahoe after all, right?
Yeah.
Our friend Zach is there.
You have a house in Tahoe?
We have a house, yeah.
On the lake, or?
Not on the lake,
No.
no. The lake is fancy, yeah.
And you never thought about getting an e-foil?
Maybe 5 or 6 people have an e-foil out there, show off, yeah. Maybe I should, I don't know. Maybe not.
No.
I like the dog start. Dog start is a
maybe
good
one day.
workout, yeah.
And you can do it?
I can do it. I'm not that good. I do 40 minutes to maybe 40 to 50 seconds. Not minute. I'm sorry, I misspoke. That would be amazing. No.
Like 40 minutes. I'm like,
Yeah, I was like,
I
yeah,
think that's
he is. I gotta
getting
buy
close
one
to a
of
record,
those.
George.
2 meter wide, one of the newer ones. Yes, maybe. I want another, so we'll see this summer. But
Yeah.
no, 40 to 50 seconds.
Yeah, I've
that's all
tried.
together.
I lasted like 3 seconds.
Well, you saw my videos crashing. Yeah, last year I did good. So I got it consistent, and I ran out of juice at about 45 seconds, and then I said I can push a little more or less. Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
That's a hard one. I don't know how rewarding it is, but
Surprisingly, very much so. Yes, it
well,
feels good.
if you're at Tahoe with the family and you've got nothing to
It's
do,
a good work. It's amazing
No, it's a good
workout.
workout,
Yeah,
yeah.
I needed better gear. I mean, nowadays the newer foils you can push it for minutes and not literally hours, right?
Yeah.
But I have yet to get one.
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, someone saw me come off the water. Some lady saw me paddling in, and she's like, "Hey, what were you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I came down." And I tried to explain it to her for like a second. There was somebody with there was 2 boats parked there here in Puerto Rico. There were just 2 boats parked in the bay, blasting
Blasting
Bad
the
Bunny,
music, yeah.
just blasting. And I was like, and I was surprised. I'm like, like the whole beach was full, and it's one person's music, and the battery died on the boat, so the music stopped. And everyone went boo, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I guess
they
everyone
enjoyed it. Yeah,
I guess everyone wanted the
they
music.
brought the music. Yeah,
So
somebody did.
for those 4 seconds of silence, she's like, "What were you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I came from like 20 miles down the coast, and I ride this foil on the waves." She goes, "Oh wow, so it's like your workout, right? You're doing a workout." I'm like, "I guess so."
That's one way to put it. Yeah.
I'd never think of it like that. I'm not like, okay, today I need to work off this beer I just drank last night.
It's a very nice segue. You know, so many people, there's the whole culture, right? You watch it to Facebook and everybody's working out and they're doing the routine. I get bored in 10 minutes at most.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do crunches, you maybe lift. The best
Do you work
workout,
out or no?
No, I can't.
Not at
I
all?
can't. No, I get bored.
But you're in good shape. Why?
Well, go outside. The ocean is waiting. Yeah,
Yeah.
the waves, the wings.
So what are the other spots that you have in your area?
So in my spot, right, the primaries, the two spots we spoke about, right? I mean, the one with the waves for kite surfers, the other waves for the wing surfers and wingers. And then if we go up to the Bay Area, the Crissy Field is the beautiful spot right under the Bay Bridge. That's you and I. That's where we went, right? You
Yeah,
made
that was our
video.
first day.
Yeah,
That was super fun.
That's really
Sketchy.
nice. The current will make it a mess, right? So if you're an outsider, a ton of people get in trouble. So we get about 300 plus rescues a year, at least. Those are reported rescues. How many more where the boat would pick you up and drop, just a sailboat? There's a ton of sailboats. So somebody will stop and, hey, you okay? No, all right. We'll pick you up and drop you by the shore. You swim back on shore. But the current could go as fast as 8 miles an hour in winter.
Yeah.
The winters, the king tides in winter, you know how it works, right? The moon, and I'm not going to get techie, but the bottom line, bigger tides in winter, smaller tides in summer. So in summer it's a little safer, about 5 miles an hour. And then by the bridge itself, by the South Tower, is a nice break. That's where everybody's playing, all the wingers. Everybody comes to play. South swell comes beautiful, north swell not as good, but works as well.
So it's a little bit. So I came to visit, and you took me out there. Does it feel like kind of like a liability, taking a new winger out there to go venture out to the bridge?
Not you. You're good. You're plenty good. Yeah.
I was fishing for compliments.
Sure, you got it. Yeah, you're in control. You're in control. But
but in general, because
in general, I will not take anybody out. I just will not. Even if they're my friends, I probably will not do it.
Yeah, because most people wear like a vest. They would like take a radio. Is that mandatory?
Unless you literally know Ritani, if you had hundreds and hundreds of sessions, and you're okay swimming on your belly for a couple hours, then maybe not. But outside of that, you put an extra, extra warm something so you don't get cold. The water is when I left, the water was 48 degrees.
That's cold.
When it's flooding, When it's ebbing a little warmer, 52, because it's warm on the outside. So it's actually even tide dependent. So if it's coming in, it's going to suck the cold water from the 300 feet below.
A couple degrees.
No, more than a couple degrees. It changes about 8 degrees between flood and the ebb. So it could be the range is big. It could be freezing cold. It could be nice and warm. It depends. Yeah, but if you're not prepared, it's a mess. It's a big mess, and the current will surprise you. Yeah, but we have standing waves. You literally could just be in one place for good 4, 5, 10 minutes and just enjoying the wave that's just barely moving forward because the current's sucking away and the wave rushing forward and you're in one spot and it's just riding and riding forever, which is beautiful.
That's cool.
And then you have the tankers come in and it's a big wake from a tanker. Good 20 minutes ride from outside of the Golden Gate Bridge all the way to Alcatraz. You just hop on that puppy and
that's a thing, right? People are just waiting for the tankers to come through.
I literally saw the article yesterday. They were talking about maybe it's so dangerous. Some of the local reporters saying, "Oh, there's people, thrill seekers." Just wrote some nonsense. Little, I have no idea why. Because it looks like you're close to the tanker, but when you are next to the tanker, you realize you're pretty far away from it. You're a couple 100 feet away. It's just from outside, it looks like you're next to the tanker because it's so big.
Yeah, it's perception. Yeah,
it's perception, right? But the wave itself is actually quite far. It starts from a nose, and the place where you ride it is it's quite some distance away from the ship itself, so it's not that close.
That's fun.
Is it dangerous? Could be if you mess up.
I mean, if
and
you
get stuck in front of the tanker, cannot stop, so it will steamroll you. Yeah, you'll kill you. So
are there any reports of like people getting run over by boats or something like that? Or
yes, one dude on the kite, not on the wing. Wrapped his kite around the mast of the big catamaran.
Oh, yeah.
So that one happened. Yeah, there was one case. It was another case where the girl hung her kite on the container ship, on the side of the container ship, and got drugged for a while. So that also happened a few years back.
Kiters.
Kiters mostly. Wingers, I have yet to hear anybody wingers get in trouble, no. You're so in control, so small. The lines are short. You're right there, yeah. Even if you're in trouble, you just sit on the board, pull yourself away. Your ship is big, you see it. You know, the only case where I didn't see the ship was foggy. And that scared the crap out of me. And I don't know why I was doing it. When it's foggy, you shouldn't be out there. It's like a rule everybody knows. But I just really wanted to wing, and it didn't have wind for a while, and I got out there, and the ship popped out of the fog, like literally blasting the horn, maybe 200 yards away from me. I was like, whoa! And that freaked me out.
That's sketchy.
That was sketchy. That was a big sketch.
Yeah, that place can, it can
get dicey.
It's intimidating.
It's
like
not
you
an
get
easy
there
place.
and you go out. I tacked all the way upwind. I guess we set up in Crissy Park. That's what it's called?
Crissy Field, yeah. That's a federal land, yeah. It's a part of San Francisco, but it's a federal park, yeah.
So you set up in Crissy Field, and there's a bunch of people going back and forth there by the, in the
There's
flats.
a little bubble, yeah. The wind is not good next to it, and the wind is offshore, always offshore.
Yeah. So we went all the way upwind, right, to the bridge. I went under it and around it, and hung out and played around because that's what you do when you're a tourist.
Yeah,
you go to the bridge, right?
The mandatory cross outside and come back from under the bridge. You have to do it.
Of course.
Yeah. You come to the other side. You got to check both towers, right?
Yeah.
You come to the north tower. You come to the south tower. You see the what's it called? The Coast Guard station on the other side, right? You got to check the Coast Guard station. Come back, play with the waves by the south tower, and then the ferry. Hopefully, the boat comes in right down to Alcatraz. It's a good day.
Yeah.
Any day is beautiful. Unless you mess up.
Yeah, it just feels intimidating because you're out there. I'm not used to, maybe for me particularly, because I'm just not used to cold water.
And exposure is big.
It's just
you realize
you're out there and you're like, whoa.
You're a few miles offshore. You're a few miles away from near
feel the
shore.
water
At any time, and in the cold water with a lot of current, the wind dies. The current will suck you all the way out in the middle of the outside, right outside the bay. If you have it ready, you call. If you don't have it ready, hopefully somebody will spot you and call for you.
Or when you're wearing George's oversized wetsuit.
Oh, you have an extra thick wetsuit, and then you just wait for the tide to change the direction, and it'll suck you back in. But it might be a few hours.
Yeah. And I saw dolphins on that trip a couple times.
Dolphins a problem.
In there.
They are a problem.
They're a problem. You hit them.
Yes, they're a problem. It could be times where it's too many, hundreds. I'm not kidding. Like not one, not two, hundreds, and you will hit them.
That's crazy.
You will fall, and they can come back at you and poke with their nose. That's their defense. So if you see a whole bunch of them swimming, you want to try. You want to stay away.
Stay away.
Stay away. Yeah.
And you have experience with that?
They yell loud when you hit it, and you fall underwater. You can hear them just.
You've hit a dolphin?
I hit the dolphin more than once. Unfortunately, poor guys there. And the pitch, high pitch, just searing for you. You'll hear it.
In this whole video, I'll blur out your face so you get no hate mail from the environmentalists.
I'm sorry about that. I mean, I tried not to. Yeah. And then, of course, the seals, ton of seals.
Yeah.
This year was especially, man, like lots of them. Good
What about
size.
whales?
Whales don't come inside unless they get lost. At Vadel, you see the whales.
Okay.
Once every few years you might see the blue whale. I had the misfortune to get sprayed by one. Like literally, you think about somebody blowing the nose,
Yeah.
and the guy just popped right in front of me. I had nowhere to go, and I guess it was feeding, and the food got stuck in the wrong place. It just blew that thing, and it was like somebody just blew your nose on top of you. You're slimy, stinky.
From the blowhole?
From a blowhole.
And it got on you and it was like snot?
Because I was literally just like a snot right all over me.
What?
I was within maybe, I came too close, and I didn't know, not on purpose. Literally, the thing just popped from a depth, right? It just came up, and I had nowhere to go, and I was all covered in a slime.
Nasty.
And I even bought that thing to clean it up, and I never could. I threw away the wetsuit. It was stinky.
No way.
Yeah, it just couldn't recover. It was stinky forever.
Where was this?
It was at Vadel.
Oh, really?
A little bit. There is a famous point.
But you were winging? Or?
No, that was years ago.
Okay,
that was years ago. Yeah, it literally only happened once.
But is it always like that? The stuff that comes out of the blowhole is
no. I
you got lucky.
I got unlucky. I guess it was feeding hard. I don't know what happened.
Damn.
Maybe I was sick. You never know. Maybe I had infection, but.
And what's your background by trait? Like, what do you do? Are you an engineer or software?
That's a good segue to a different subject, right?
Well, you don't have to go deep into it. Just an idea, because the way everyone's mind works is very different, and it makes a huge difference what their background is, right? So.
Yeah,
we always talk about foiling and stuff, and
well, you
get in the nitty-gritty of the
you
boards,
into the sports, right? You do sports. That's what you do. You're 100% into it.
Yeah.
For me, it's completely opposite. I'm a computer engineer by background, right?
Oh, okay.
So there comes the whole discussion about work-life balance. What do you do? How do you do? Why do you do it? So. For years, it was a mess. It was hard. You want to be outside. The wind is middle of the day. You're stuck in the office. The COVID, surprisingly, was a big help, right? Everybody started working from home. Working from home means maybe you do work outside of work hours. You do it late at night. You do it late at night. It opens up your middle of the day. Our wind is, 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, right? So all you got to do is you set all your meetings early in the morning. And then you quietly disappear. Then you have your session.
Wait. You get up early in the morning?
Not that early, not me. Okay. Don't hang it on me. But I'm a late person, right?
I know, because you didn't even wake up and answer my message today until like 11 o'clock.
I just didn't look at the phone. I didn't look at the phone. Yeah.
But it's typical, no? I mean, you're on vacation.
I'm on vacation.
I'm just messing with you.
You know, I'm a late person. Yeah, it'll be straightforward. I get up around 10 o'clock, right? And I have my coffee, and then I don't always want to start working right away. But I'll pack my meetings, between 10 and 1 o'clock, so get it out of the way if I have to. If none of them are great, just do what I need to do. And then wind kicks around 1 o'clock for San Francisco. I think pretty much everywhere, right? It's like the wind is afternoon usually.
Late, yeah.
Hood River may be the exception, right? It could blow there early. Yeah.
I mean, everywhere.
But for the most part, it's thermal. Thermal is a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
So it starts blowing in the afternoon. So you have your afternoon for your exercise, your sport, your winging, whichever you do. You come back, take a little break, and then you work 6 till 9 or 6 till midnight, what's up to you. You got to do what you got to do.
Does your mechanical and your engineer side kind of fuel your addiction on the foil of like the mechanics of it, or does it have any kind of like effect?
For sure, for sure. You know, we just chatted about it, right? We had the, I have a bunch of buddies, the old PhD, Stanford, fancy. Unfortunately, I'm a dropout. I never finished the college. I was in university, but I did 4 years and I gave up. I guess my sports background kind of took the best of me. It was too much, 4 years was already too much, but I'm grateful I did at least 4 years. I don't know how useful it is, but hey, it's paying the bill. But what you can do, just literally recently with ChatGPT, I had that amazing experience where I'm like, everybody keeps talking about the foil, but hey, Mr. GPT, help me, right? Where's the perfect balance between how wide you want to go, how wide of the foil you want to take, or how narrow it should be, the high aspect versus low aspect. And there's lots of people, there's lots of designers, they're all amazing, and I'll give them credit. They're just a bunch of good foils, and they keep getting better. But I was thinking, if I'm going to do it myself, it's literally going to take me half a year. The math is complicated, right? You got to write those differential equations. You got to solve them. Some might be not solvable. You got to use numerical methods to solve them. You're going to get messy. You're going to drown in it, and you got to buy the software to solve it. And I never did it. And I had two buddies that did do it. One of them spent maybe 9 months doing the solutions for the foil. He built his foil like 9 years ago. Beautiful foil. He still writes it.
How many years ago? What?
9 years ago.
Okay.
Like literally 9 years ago, he did his own carbon foil, his own shape. And he wrote it for the next 6 years. He was way ahead. I mean, he did a good job doing it, right?
And that was just for fun, or?
Just for himself, yeah. I mean, he worked at Oracle. It's another computer shop, right? So, but on the side, he did it, and his math was pretty good. The shape he did literally became the mainstream just a couple of years ago. He was so much ahead of it. And my other buddy, he was a racer at Kikrishi, right? This whole scene with the Johnny and everybody else racing there. They kept monkeying about, okay, what's the perfect ratio between the kite and the foil and the lift, and he kept running all this math equation, how much upwind, the angle, what's the best angle compared to how much pressure he can put on the foil. They've been going crazy, and I'm like, oh, that's too much effort. Yeah, you guys do it. That's your fun. I'm not going to spend weeks in front of the computer. I'm already in front of the computer just to make money, to pay for my fun, right? I'm not going to spend more time in front of the computer. But we have ChatGPT nowadays, right? So with ChatGPT, you literally go in and say, hey, ChatGPT, what are the equations? Oh, and there's 2 equations for the foil, one for the lift, one for the drag. Oh, great. Okay. So do you know the equation? Yeah, sure. It just keeps just answering. Okay, so ChatGPT then, well, take these 2 equations and tell me at what point the drag from the speed can overtake the drag from the water, right? Just from a foil size. Solve that equation. And that thing choked on it. I'm like, whoa, come on, ChatGPT, you can do better. So I sent it away. He works for 10 minutes and goes, hey, you're out of your tokens. I'm like, come on, I'm paying $20. I used them all up. You're done for today. Okay, so I come back next day. It becomes funny, right? I mean, it didn't take me long, but I'm making ChatGPT work, and I used up all the quota, can solve the equation. Long story short, he never did it, but they got an upgrade. They got an upgrade. So 2 months later, I pick where I left. I'm like, ChatGPT.
You're just using like the normal ChatGPT
normal
forum,
ChatGPT.
the
It
free
actually
one.
does all the math, and it can do the formulas if you push it hard enough. If you know what questions you ask. Let's start writing formulas, start quitting. You can pull all the charts with the coefficients to say, okay, you have these charts for how much resistance, what the coefficient for that foil, for this water,
Yeah.
temperature. Yeah, it just pulls them up because it learns everything, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, use those.
You got to
and-
ask it the right questions.
Yeah, as long as you know how to ask the question, it'll pull all the data, starts plugging the defaults in, and solves the formulas. And the newer version did it. It puked maybe 5 times, but finally I said, like, ignore this, simplify that, do this. And it came up with the, believe it or not, 23 miles an hour. At 23 miles an hour, the high aspect foil not gonna go much faster because the resistance of the high aspect foil just being wide
Yeah.
gonna overtake the efficiency it generates for being skinny.
Yeah.
And after that, you need the different shape of the foil. You need the wider and more narrow foil to keep accelerating.
Huh.
So, and that was beautiful. It sort of answered
Yeah, I
my
guess there's-
questions. Like, you're on the waves, right? And you know what the speed of the wave. The speed of the wave is roughly, in knots, double the period of the wave, right? So you literally take 10 seconds. So the wave that's 10 seconds, the speed of the wave is roughly 20 knots. That's all it is, right? Doing miles an hour, maybe 22 miles an hour. If it's 7, it's 15, 16 miles an hour, right? So that's why it's so easy right here. We're in the warm water, it's all local chops, 7, 8 seconds. Your wave speed is 16, 17 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Anybody can get up on it, right? Back at home, something like Mavericks starts breaking, 16 seconds, 18 seconds. We're talking about speed of 40 miles an hour. You want a high aspect foil, forget it. You just won't get up. It will not go that fast.
Yeah.
So you realize you need one of those surfer foils that is wide and narrow. And yeah, you get on a steep part and let the gravity push you down, and you get the speed and you stay on it. Yeah.
I guess like the longer it is, there's more drag towards the tips, and
No, the longer tips reduce the drag, but the front resistance of the front line, the more narrow is it, the
less
less
drag.
the front face resistance. Right? Like
Oh,
thinking
I
about
see.
the car, like it's wider, but it's narrow. So from that angle, you reduce resistance.
Like, I mean,
But the efficiency comes from the turbulence of the ends, right? So the longer the foil, the less turbulence, the more efficient the foil
Yeah.
is.
I guess depends what you want to get out of the foil and what conditions. It's a
Absolutely, right? If you
huge
want to be
factor.
super efficient and you know your speed's not going to be above 23 miles an hour, now you know.
16 AR.
And you're not going to hear it from anybody else except Dylan's podcast because I guess I was the only clown who wanted to harass ChatGPT so much.
That's hilarious. I can't believe it can give you that kind of like that data, you know? Are you working or you're just spending time on trying to figure out foil calculations?
Then, you know, the Access Foil guys, the local there, the good friends, I chat with them once
Okay.
in a while. Yeah, so I can bug them and say, hey, guys, keep that in mind, do it. They ignore me anyway, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
So what does your foil progression look like? Because now, you know, I don't want to say I don't like it. It's just I didn't love your setup.
So let's connect the dots, right?
It's not bad. I just
Yeah,
I come
absolutely.
from,
Let's connect the dots.
maybe we're looking for different
let's
things.
connect
George.
the dots. I was my setup is access based, right?
And it's
It's
when,
a brand.
When
it's
did
a
it
brand.
switch to axis based?
I had Moses years ago, and the mast was too flexy. It didn't work for the waves, right? The Axis had the better mast.
And then Moses changed to Sab, right?
They changed the name, right? They changed the name, yeah. The mast, I don't think, is very good. I mean, I'm a heavier guy, right? So I got to deal with that angle. Not everybody has that problem, right? If you weigh 60 pounds, 60, no, unless you're a kid,
60
right? 160 pounds. You
Yeah.
can pick anything you want. It doesn't matter, right? If you weigh 205, yeah, you feel it. It'll flex underneath you. Access had a good setup. Art series were really nice breakthrough 3 years ago when they came out. It was a good combination of really nice glide, good speed. There were some waves I couldn't get onto before, and with those I could. I had beautiful rides in Maverick just because the glide was so good. And you got to realize the foil has to be efficient enough so you can get on a wave where you're going faster than the wind. So you can't really accelerate just because you have the wing in your hand. It's not going to do anything. You're already faster than the wing. The wing is already behind you.
Yeah.
Right? And if your foil is not efficient enough, the wave is going to pass underneath you and boom. And you're on the backside. And people think the backside is not steep. That's a huge mistake.
Yeah,
The backside with the bigger wave is just almost as steep as the front side. And you literally just
like going
slide
uphill and
backwards
you're,
and then you fall to the side and then the next one comes in and it might be closing up on top of you. It just gets a little messy. See? So
you're
you
winging.
better make it or you pump the hell out of it and then eventually you slow down enough where the wind starts working, but it's weird.
So you're winging Mavericks?
I cannot win the Mavericks proper. Let's be clear. Yeah, I cannot take the credit for it.
Yeah.
I tried and I can't do it. Very special conditions, right? The conditions have to be just right. The waves have to be small. And when I say small, maybe 12 feet, 11 feet,
Yeah.
15 feet, not more than 15, on a low tide. If the tide is low, the Maverick is a deep, it's a deep water setup, right?
How far off the coast is it?
Almost a mile. It starts about a mile off the coast and ends about half a mile off the coast. It's far outside. And it's a deep setup, right? So the waves don't work on the Maverick unless they have enough power. If they don't have enough power, they just come over it. It's just nothing happening. It just looks flat. I mean, there's little bumps here and there. But if it's shallow, if it's really low tide, and it not a lot of, energy has to be low, right? So you're looking at the smaller waves, it's like 12 feet at most, and you're looking at the shorter period, maybe 9 to 10 seconds. Then it's doable. Then it's not crashing, it pops up. It's a little slopey. It's not beautiful. It's not one of those beautiful waves. It's not going to be, not going to be curving on you. But it's rideable. It's a nice ride. It's a long. It's 3/4 mile long.
Is it like you want to ride Mavericks because it's a good wave and it's fun, or it's kind of it's also a little bit of like a prestige thing? Does it get crowded out there? Are there people doing it?
It's usually me.
Oh,
It's me and 5 of my buddies. 2 of them, 1 of them is
not many people doing it.
not many people. It's a funky setup. It's a tricky setup. Think of it this way: the wind is not strong in winter. We're looking at 12 miles an hour, barely anything.
Ouch.
15 if you're lucky. So you're on the big board, on the big wing. The waves are huge. The Maverick, when it starts breaking, it's 20 at least, 25, easy, 30. You cannot go inside with the wing. But what you can do is you ride the shoulder.
Yeah.
And I call it the bow wave.
The bow wave?
Bow wave. It's literally just like those tankers that push the wave from the bow in front of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Exact same thing happens with the main Maverick waves. It actually generates a secondary wave. And it comes to the side of the main one. It's literally exactly half the size, right? So if the main one is 30 feet, the bow wave is about 15. If the main one is 20, 25, you're literally on the side at about 10 feet. That's just manageable. 10 to 12 is beautiful.
That's cool.
And it's also half the speed. It changes the angle and it's right at the angle. And it's not as fast. So it's manageable, right? So instead of trying to crank 40 miles an hour, you crank 20 miles an hour, you hop on that 40 miles, that's just a little overhead, and you have that beautiful ride, and you're looking right inside the Maverick. You'd see it, big curl, you'd see the side of the hole, the overhead, and then it collapses, and it's like a thunder. The clap is unbelievable. And the shock waves, you literally feel the shock wave. It just punches you.
That's
and
wild.
if for whichever reason you power it, it'll rip the wing out of your hands. It'll literally, it happened to me twice. Once I was coming out and I was close enough, it just shoot me up in the air. Just literally, I was just coming, and I was not paying attention, just trying not to crash it because going up and down, and it's 12 feet, and it's big, and it's just got to stay in control. Just staying in control is difficult.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden on the side, there's like 2 shows, the mini show here and the channel. And the main show where the Maverick is, and you 50 feet away. And you don't know how the main wave behaves. Sometimes it can bounce inside the channel. When it bounces inside the channel, it closes up right next to you. The punch of the air that just gets squeezed out of the tube right into you. Boom! It's a shock wave. The wave is just. It takes you up in a good 10 feet in the air, and you just crash, and pretty loud too.
That's wild. That's crazy.
So you ask me why? That's a killer experience.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's what I mainly thought was like, to be out there, that far out with such a powerful wave.
It's a mess. You gotta be super careful. You keep in mind the wind is always offshore. There's really no onshore wind. Yeah. So when you're out there, the wind is offshore. The waves are big. You gotta know the tides of the reef. You might close on you, then you can't come back. You'll come back. And
so where can you go in the Bay Area that is not sketchy and scary, and you're not going to get lost out to sea?
Unfortunately, nowhere. Yeah, I can't. No, none of the spots are friendly, to be honest. Well, not true.
Okay,
not true. I mean,
I guess you can go
the
like
same Half Moon Bay. You literally don't need to go out to the Mavericks.
Yeah,
you
you
can
can
stay on
stay
the sand
there in
behind
the
the
shell,
jetty,
yeah.
and just outside the harbor mouth is nice and small.
What about this place called Sherman Island?
Oh,
Is that?
yeah, it's more freestyle.
Oh, it's just like a flat
total
water spot.
Ton of wind.
Oh, okay.
Think about 30 to 40 miles an hour. Very consistent. Very
Do you wing
strong.
there often or no?
It's a little far from me.
Yeah.
And I love waves, so. And I'm not a freestyler. I don't really do any of the tricks. I don't do any of the cool stuff. But the guys, Kenny there, all of the crew, they do amazing stuff. People on the mic labs, they ton of speed, funky stuff.
Yeah, so let's go back to the gear thing. Is that you're on Axis. You're in San Francisco. Why did you never get on the Mike's Lab train?
I tried it. It's more locked in, not as surfy.
I guess they're made for speed and efficiency, right?
They're very efficient. They come up for the small size. They pop really easy, surprisingly easy. Yeah. They're very fast. If you want to go fast, that's what you want. Mm-hmm. If you want to surf, and I have a bunch of whitewater trashy conditions where it's really messy, you got to go for the turbulence. It won't work. It will not work. Yeah, it'll crash. So the stiff axis, the new Ultramaster does an amazing job handling those conditions. The Spitfire is great. Not very. The glide is not ideal, right? So hopefully they're talking about this new Art V2. So hopefully it's something in between.
Yeah. Especially
for winter conditions where I don't have enough power in my wing, and then you gotta work off the efficiency, right? It's a whole lot of sessions for me will ruin it.
Yeah. So I haven't tried a bunch of Axis gear. I've never tried the Spitfires. I tried the Art. Did you have the Art Pro last year? No, you had the Art.
No, I didn't. I never got the Art Pro.
Yeah, so it just felt like really flat and just not very playful.
Not very playful. The Art is not very playful.
The Art,
I mean, unless you do the super short fuse. If you do the super short fuselage, then it gets a little more playful. But come on, the Art Pro is 3-year-old. Yeah, it's not fair to compare the 3-year-old.
It's not fair.
Well, come on, let's be honest, right? I mean, we compare current to current.
Yeah, and then the Spitfire, it's a lot more surfy and playful.
Very playful,
good
very
for
surfy.
whitewater. It's
Candles, super messy condition. I've been on a triple overhead, and
it just
doesn't stand in control.
This doesn't have the glide and the push.
The glide is not there. Like if the wave is not steep enough, will go right through you, you will not accelerate.
Yeah.
If you have power on your wing, great. If you have side shore strong wind, you power up and you add on and you're right there. It works.
Yeah.
If for some reason wind is in your back and you're on the wave and it's not steep enough, you're out of luck. You will not go down.
Yeah, I think there's different. Really depends on every brand is they've got their thing and what they're looking for and what range they're kind of going through. And I think looking at what Axis has, they're missing that little bit of like just a little bit more glide, a little bit more playful. There's that, like, just
that middle
a little bit
section
of a,
yeah,
like,
for the
that
people.
one little gap, which is the most
they've got-
popular thing right now.
Right now, well, yes and no,
Being-
right?
Being wind powered, right? It's very different. You get a lot out of a foil. You know, you can play around with it. It can be fat. It can be short. It could be surfy. You know, and as long as you're wind powered, there's a lot of beautiful foils out there that can do a lot. But then once you're trying to rely on what the water and the energy is going to give you, and you're relying more on the wave, if it's not steep enough, and you're just kind of like going from section to section, you require so much out of a foil, right? It's pitchiness.
True, but you know, think of it. It's becoming very specialized.
Yeah.
Think about skis, right? And then I have a bunch of skis in my garage, right? I mean, you accumulate. I mean, I have a pair for powder skiing. I have a pair for mogul skiing. And it might be, you know, not everybody is a skier, but you can think of the conditions. Need the powder, or it's a heavy cement, Sierra cement, you know, wet snow. It's a packed, fast condition, icy, or it's a bumpy condition. You literally have a pair for each condition. And yeah, you can make the bit fat ski work on the mogul is going to be, it'll be PD. It'll be trouble. Yeah, you're just going to be all over the place. You know, or same, deep powder, you need a soft, wide ski. I'm seeing the foils becoming the same, right? You're doing your downwinders, you need the super skinny, super wide, super efficient foil to milk every tiny little bit because your bumps are so small. You in a steep break, Spitfire is beautiful. That's all you need, right? It's coming in, good energy, don't really need much. It's just got to be easy to pop, nice stability, amazing turns, you right there, right? And so on. It's just
It's so.
and somebody like my clubs, everybody wants to race, in the flat water, ton of wind.
Yeah, be fast.
Yeah, absolutely. You're super fast. You can tack with the wing behind your back. Yeah, imagine how fast you got to be going to do that.
Yeah.
You see the videos, Ken doing it. Yeah, you got to be in Mike's lab with the specialized wing. Not every wing gonna do it. It looks cool in the video, but you don't realize how much goes into doing it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I guess I'm surprised, like how picky foilers are, of like what their setup is and what foils are coming out and the brands, what they're launching, everything. But yeah, there's a foil for every There's no one foil that does everything amazing.
Not anymore,
right?
Not 10 years ago when we started. We had that aluminum monster that just was the only thing you had on the 15 centimeter mast.
I mean, it did everything great because you had no option.
It sort of popped you above the water and you were excited.
Yeah. And what are you riding now? And why, George?
Why? Yeah, that's a good question. So, they're a real nice group of people. They sort of build a hybrid that is in between the Spitfire and the Art.
So it's a Conrad.
Conrad, and it's sort of in between, and the reviews were good, and I wanted something in between. And I got tired of Access waiting on Access to finally release that wing. So I'm like, all right, I'm fine. I mean, the price was reasonable. I was trying $9, not too expensive, so I bought one. The tail, the stabilizer wing, did not fit on a fuselage.
So I don't know. I've looked at Conrad's website a little bit, just to like get an idea of like what they're doing or what their foils are like, and it looks like they're trying to be ultra adaptable, right?
More or less, they have
to like
right? I mean,
the different foil brands.
They're not the major brands, so they fill the gaps in between.
And I got to look at their website again because I didn't totally understand their concept of what they're trying to do and build, because it's the last foil brand you'll need or whatever for whatever mix match you want to do. So I didn't understand their concept completely. So I'd have to look at it again. But your foil is it fits onto a
on the axis
fuselage, right? So it's an axis fuselage fitting.
Yeah, and the stabilizer did not fit. Okay, that was my mistake. I should have probably researched more, emailed them more, but I don't want to dink on the guys. But it didn't fit, so I'm using the axis, and the profiles between the two mismatch. As the speed comes up, and if it's a low speed, I get too much lift of it. If it's a high speed, it starts nosedive. So the the axis fuselage does not match the profile, lift profile of the front foil.
Yeah.
So I have to shift my feet, I gotta go back a little bit at the high speed, so I'm not nose diving, and I gotta step forward at the low speed, and it's.
So I took out your setup. Your wing is beautiful. That PPC
wing is
Dyneema
surprising.
thing is awesome.
It's a total surprise.
Yeah.
It's a surprise of the season for sure.
Yeah. So that
they
was
get
super
the full
nice.
credit, yeah.
And then I took out your foil, and I was like, right out the gate, because I don't wing a lot anymore. And you're asking me, like, Dylan, you don't wing anymore. Like, are you still okay at it? I'm like, man, I foil all the time. Like, downwinding is the pinnacle of foiling. Of course, I'm good at winging.
Hopefully. Still, maybe.
Still. So I went out, took your setup, and I tried to get up, and right away, it had so much lift forward for you because your weight.
Yeah,
so the foil was way forward. So I'm trying to get it up, and it's like, oh, and then I got to put my weight forward, and I fell twice getting up. And I was like,
because you have all that lift in my weight. Yeah, I mean, we have 50 pounds difference.
and I've done it before. I know how to adjust for those things. It just caught me off guard.
Catch up.
And I was like, damn. And right away, I was like, I don't know about this thing. No, I was not too quick to judge.
They have really efficient front foil. It's really efficient for the size. It's surprisingly efficient.
It's very lifty. It was like a 930.
Yeah, it's 9. Don't hold it to me. 9 plus, 900 plus,
Yeah.
And for 900 plus, and there was not much wind, right? And we're a small wind.
Yeah.
And I'm a heavy guy. And even they're smaller than 700 plus, I easily get up on it, which is like, wow. And my X-Lab 700, it's a pain in the butt for me to get up on it. So, so this one is very lifty, very efficient. But you got to match it with the proper stabilizers with the same profile.
Yeah, and I got up on it, started riding, and then the faster I went, the more I'd have to lean back on it, to keep the foil up. And I was like, it's nose diving. And
it basically tells you the stabilizer is not nearly as efficient as the front foil.
Yeah.
Because the stabilizer with the higher speed needs to keep up and keep pressing down more and more as you have that momentum. It tries to flip you, right? The resistance from the mast and the wing.
It also looks like when I look at it, it's...
Yeah. Well, the mast, wants to flip you forward, right? Yeah. So the stabilizer needs to keep pushing down to reverse, to resist the momentum of the mast and the wing tipping over. Mm-hmm. And if it's not efficient, if it's not as efficient as the front wing, you have mismatch.
Yeah.
And that's what I got, right? That's what I got, unfortunately, for this trip.
Yeah.
I didn't get time to fix it.
And I came off the water, and I was like, oh, man. That felt like it's just, the front foil felt fine. Like, it was glidey. I was, getting little glides. I was pumping. I could, turn it around a little bit. For as much as I felt comfortable, the fuse is really short. I'm not used to such a short fuse, so it's very pitchy,
It is pitchy, yeah. But it's a short board. I mean, everybody nowadays tries to get a slightly longer board.
Yeah,
that's the trend.
I'm used to a short one.
Yeah,
I'm
but
used to a short board when I wing.
A little more pitchy. That longer board gives you more stability.
Yeah. And I was like, man, it feels like a lot of work. I don't want to work when I foil.
Look, what was the brand you gave me to try, right?
Code.
The Code. Beautiful. It's like... It felt too easy. I felt like I'm cheating. It's like
and that's when I made fun of you. I'm like, why would foiling not want to feel easy?
All of a sudden, there's nothing for me to do. I'm just there riding around, and I have to be working.
Why do you want to feel like you're on edge, George?
Well, because I'm busy. I'm doing something. All of a sudden, it's just riding for me.
Well, I gave you the 980, a long fuse, which is super so different to what you're riding. I would definitely. It's just because I sold all my stuff. I didn't have any other fuse in that moment. So I just gave you whatever I could. I'm like, try this. But I would 100% knowing your setup, I'd put you on a short fuse. I'd put you on a smaller tail. And I'd give you a smaller front wing as well. Or I'd give you a smaller front wing and a bigger tail. I'd mix match it a little bit. Yeah. I think the 980 with the long fuse and the 150 tail was just too stable for you.
It was
you just
super.
didn't even know what to do with yourself.
You
had too much time to think. You're probably thinking about work at that moment.
You could just walk, take 5 steps with left foot, just bum, 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 bum. It was so, I was like, what am I doing?
I know exactly why. You just don't, you want to be so honed into foiling that you don't think about anything else in life in that moment. And if your pitchy foil does that for you, then you're good to go.
Maybe, what I found out is when you're on the bigger waves, what people don't realize, they get bumpy. They're not clean. Like if you ride in 5, 6, 7, 9, maybe 10 feet, waves, they're nice and clean, especially if they're steep. Once you get into double overhead, triple overhead, they're super bumpy. They're very messy. It's not that
And
nice,
you prefer
clean.
a shorter fuse for that?
You have to, so you can react. Otherwise, you will not have time to react. Otherwise, the wave inside the wave.
Like the delay time between you
Exactly.
having to pitch
Exactly.
yourself up
The
or down.
wave inside
it's too
the
late.
wave come in, and by the time you react with the longer wave, it'll kick you off the foil, and you're gonna crash. You really need to react super fast, and you're right there on the edge, and you react to the tiny little ripple inside the wave, because you're at the high speed. So you have to just.
But vice versa to that, you have to be more on edge and more reactive because any little movement you make with your weight will cause a pitch adjustment, right? So isn't there a trade-off?
Absolutely, yeah.
Huh. I never thought of it like that.
So you have to be very, yeah.
I never thought of it being better to have that much pitch adjustment, like having it shorter.
So it's
when
you need this
like
strange
that.
you need this strange combination of the good stability at speed, but at the same time really fast reaction. So you still need it to be very stable, right? So you tune it, you play with it until it's like feels really stable, but then you can change the pitch on it like a microsecond.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And I have no idea that the Conrad foil is going to be good or not. I have not. I literally just got it 2 weeks ago. So
Oh, okay. So it's new to you.
It's new to me, and I don't know if it's going to work for the bigger waves. It might not work. So I have no. I know the speed part for sure does.
Yeah.
It will not cavitate. It'll handle it. It'll handle the big speed and handle it. So
And you've got that new what is it? The Ultra Power or
the Ultra, the mast.
yeah.
Yeah,
What's
the
it called?
what's it called?
It's their highest end one, right?
The high end, yeah.
The Ultra Power Carbon.
It's their what's it called?
I'm sticking with the Ultra Power Carbon.
Okay, fair enough. It's
Carbon
the Ultra is
power,
the keyword.
something
yeah.
like
the
that.
Ultra is the keyword there.
So you've got that set up, which is it's pricey,
It's
right?
pricey, yeah.
You seem to think it makes a difference in the stiffness for your weight
It
and what
makes
you're
a
looking
difference
for.
in two places. When you're making the bottom turn, there's so much pressure on you. The G's are huge. You literally you're at 40 miles an hour and you got to carve hard and you plaster on you against the board, and you don't want that mass to flex.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one. And then if you end up going for the messy whitewater with the huge turbulence, if the mass has a flex, you will not stay up.
You'll just lose
You'll
it.
you'll lose it, yeah.
What are the dimensions? Do you know what the dimensions are on it? Like thickness?
Oh, not from top of my head.
No?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll look it up. I'm just curious. I don't know.
The way they did it, so
Any
thicker
of
at
my
the
other
top and
ones
it's
either.
skinnier at the bottom, I think that's just not a bad idea.
I just bought a calibrator, like to measure thickness and a scale and everything, and it's arriving because I've never really nerded out on foils, honestly, that much. I can ride something, I'd be like, okay, I like this, I don't like
The
this.
things
This is
that
what
bothered me a couple of years before that were the cavitation.
Yeah.
Not so much the thickness of the mass, but yes, you get it to the really high speed, all of a sudden it would cavitate and you would face plant.
Yeah.
And that's the worst you want to do, right? Imagine you 30 miles an hour, 35, 40 miles an hour on an overhead wave, the face planting is lost
that
in you.
sucks.
It hurts like hell. Yeah. And you don't know where your wing or your board are going to end up, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, so assuming you want to stick with Axis because it's been good to you so far, you were venturing around a little bit, and then I saw like a glimpse of something pop up on Reddit. Like someone saw a post from them, or it was on their website
ArtV2,
by
right?
accident, which is like
ArtV2. I don't know
the
if it's official
ArtV2.
name or was it the leak? Who
No
knows?
idea.
Yeah.
I guess it
Nobody
was a
knows,
leak,
yeah.
and it said Art V2, and there was 4 wings in the range from like 1,200
just
to
three.
just
Three
3,
of them, yeah, just
1,200 to like 850, something like that.
999 is the biggest, and some 700 some the smallest. Yeah,
And like a 9.9 aspect ratio,
about right.
9.8, something like that. So I think that's kind of That's kind of where a really broad
Sweet
bunch
spot,
of there's this sweet spot, and that's why Code has been doing so well. That S series, it's this 9.5, and it's just it's glidey, it's surfy, it's got such a good speed range to it, and that's why it does so well. And apart from that, I don't want to put too much promo on Code. I do sell a lot of it, and I ride it. I love it. Apart from other foils that I ride as well.
Well, look, the one thing I can say is the Moses had the market to themselves, and they lost it, at least in the U.S., right? They might be still big in Europe, and we hear it. I don't know how is it back there. But the Axis did amazingly well for them. Yeah, they did really good. They have a good brand. Everybody knows them. I will not be surprised if they might miss the train, just like the Moses did, because they sat too long, not having a foil for generic spot.
Yeah.
AFS is a beautiful foil that I had a chance to try this year. Sweet, nicely done. The execution is beautiful. The fuselage is carbon. The construction is nice and clean.
It's like a monoblock construction.
Monoblock construction. It rides
Looks nice.
really
It
nice
does.
and super easy, pretty. You don't need to mess with the tail and shims and all that mess, right? I mean, and I'm like, a little more, and I'll give up on Axis unless the issues are resolved, right? Unless
Well, you can like
new upstarts are definitely pushing the limits, and they're doing great.
Yeah.
They're doing an amazing job.
And I just to touch up on like that Code thing is that for me, what's really easy is because I've got all these numbers in my head, right, and all these different foils, and it's so easy that if you like the 980 and you want to go faster and you want more carving, you go one size down. Like the foil itself is essentially the same, it's just scaled down. It's almost the same profile. It's like,
you know what?
The whole thing, it's crazy. It's like you look at Code, it's like 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, 9.5. I don't know if it's exactly scaled.
It cannot
right?
be exactly
profile.
scaled.
It's not possible.
The math
but
will not let you. The math is not linear, so they're not exactly scaled for sure.
no, it's not. It can't be. But you look at every other foil. I was looking at Axis' website because people call me all the time. They're like, "Hey, I'm riding this foil," and I'm sitting at my computer and I'll pull it up. I'm like, "This is what you're riding." I look at the dims. Dims, of course, they don't mean everything, right? I can look at dimension, and be like, "Okay, whoa, look at their span, look at their thickness, look at their."
Look at the core.
The square area.
I
I can get an idea of like what they're riding and then recommend what could be comparable in a similar brand. But you look at everything, it's like the Spitfires or whatever, or North, the SFs. You look at them and every aspect ratio on every size, it starts to, it changes spec-wise. Like when it's bigger, it's got less. When it's smaller, it's got more aspect and it's got more glide. And essentially it's kind of sucks because the bigger foils are what people are getting into, and they've got the least amount of glide, and they've got the least amount of like oomph to them. Then when you get down to the smaller sizes, you can handle that amount of speed, and they maintain that amount of speed is when you really get like, you fall in love with these foils, right? I don't know how it is with the Spitfire, but in the SF range, I love on the North, you get down to like the 830, the 680, you're like, wow, that thing is magic, and I can prone that thing. But if I'm on the 1080, it just doesn't feel like it's got the magic like the smaller one does. Versus what happens with Code is that the 1130 has magic, the 980's got some kind of a magic, and they're kind of spec'd the way that you feel each size is very similar. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does.
Yeah.
I think as the whole industry evolves, right?
Yes.
That's the magic the other people are going to have to start looking for.
Yeah.
It's something that the Axis have not nailed, for sure. You grab one foil, you grab different size, and it behaves differently.
Yeah.
And it's not ideal. It's not what you want. Like 999 and the 1099 behaved totally differently. 899 came in and they solved some problems, and it was better than the other two. And like, okay, great, but the other two. So it was non-linear completely, and you had to adjust for each one, and different stabilizer worked with. It's just a big mess. So if somebody gets that, figures out how to translate that perfect balance between the sizes, that's a definitely huge benefit. That's the absolutely step forward for everybody else to get there, to copy it, to have that. not simply different sizes, but also the sizes that behave identical.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy difficult.
Identical. I mean,
You
they
gotta
won't
ask
be completely identical. But they'll be slower and they'll be not as churny.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. No, for sure.
But the
There's-
feel, as long as the feel stays the same,
Yeah.
it is so much easier on you versus retraining your body, right? It
Yeah.
takes time to get used to each
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
And I mean, I made that example of like the bigger foil doesn't have the magic versus the smaller. I like smaller. I don't ride anything bigger than a 980, 950. Like, I don't go any bigger than that. I don't need to. In light wind, strong wind, doesn't matter. I don't need anything bigger for my weight. I'm, what, like 158 pounds, 160 pounds. I'm
Yeah, you're lucky.
very average foiler weight here.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm lucky guy. You know, stay fit, stay light on my feet.
Okay, I can drop maybe 10 pounds.
Well, man, I wish I could try every single foil that exists. You know, it's just not possible. Can't afford it. You know.
Well, it's not even the money. Even it, I had a good conversation with the Tucker from my Kite. He's a good friend from many years ago, right? I mean, we chat once in a while, email. He supports me nicely, so a little credit to him. You do too, absolutely. Yeah,
I'm
fine.
I saw you. You're like, oh damn! I just mentioned Mac Kite and
Well,
Dylan's shop.
I mentioned for different reasons. I mean,
No, I
everybody
I like
knows
the
him,
guys.
so I don't need to emphasize.
I
but
don't know Tucker personally, but I see
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of his
not,
content.
not
and
so
stuff
much
like that.
from the angle of giving more visibility to them. They
Yeah.
have plenty of assets, but from a technical angle, right? So he has to try so many foils, so he literally complained how little time left for him to just ride what he enjoys. And that's an amazing point. It's totally straight to the spot. At some
No,
point,
it's
you want to be
valid,
dialed
for
in
sure.
and just want to enjoy the outdoors and not just constantly calibrating, trying, switching, tinkering, right? At some point, you want to be just in the zone and just enjoy that perfect feeling, perfect balance, right?
Yeah.
And if you're in a shop and you're trying to do a podcast, if you're trying to cover it, there's limit to what you can do.
Yeah. No, I'm limited. I've always been like that, especially, I mean, for my shop, I've always been very selective on what gear I want to offer because every foil brand could be good for somebody, you know? So it's like, what kind of brand should I focus on? And it's all about the service in the end and the performance of the gear and the durability, but there's a lot of good brands out there, so I focus on a couple that are really good, you know, like North, their service and the team and their, you know, I know the kind of energy that they put into what they're trying to produce is really good, and then their customer service and just that kind of like, our connection is so strong that's why I'm so, you know, affiliated with them.
Any good.
Right?
People don't realize, it depends on how much time you spend on the water. If you once a week, you might never see the issues, right? You twice in a week, you might see the issue. If you really like it, and I like it, and I'm on the water a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not a pro, so not every day, but almost every day. If I get a chance, I'll be there, right? So you'll have ton of issues. Your gear will wear off. You're gonna need support. So
Yeah.
it's not about the price. It's a lot more about, hey, my wing just I had that little wing just popped just because of the wave pressure.
Yeah.
Nobody knew how they should be behaved. Should they be doing it? Who's gonna support you? You bought that, $2,000 a little wing. What you do
Yeah.
now? You got swamped. Wave crashed on top of you. The wing popped with a big hole right in the middle. Should it be doing it? Not should be doing it. Where did you buy it? Is anybody gonna actually talk to you? Can you send the
Yeah.
pictures? Is somebody gonna respond to you?
No, it's huge.
How are you gonna get the support? And the support is a big deal.
Yeah.
It could be, it could be first year. It could be manufacturer defect. They might not suit properly. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you like for being a shop, let's say, whoever you're dealing with, and you have this brand that they like the gear because they feel like it's hot on the market or people are going to like it because of its price point or their marketing, but then it's really difficult to deal with them on the back end. It's horrible. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, if their gear has problem and then you're like, hey, Dylan, my wing broke. I want to be like, here you go. Here's a brand new wing. Give me the broken one. I know that on the back end, whoever I'm talking to and my brands are going to support me and my client, right? And that's the most important.
Which is true. Very, very much true. Very much
Yeah,
true.
which is huge. So that's why it's very particular, like what brands and foils I want to use is the performance, but also their service and how they support the customer base and me, you know, which is super important, you know. So, but there's a lot of good foils out there, George.
Too many, too many, too many.
Anything special you want to share before we close out here?
Well,
This is your big moment, by the way.
my big moment. Well, I'll keep it simple. Look, the ocean park here where the Dillon is beautiful, guys. If you want to come here, you should. I've been coming for many years, and that spot here just keeps attracting. No big waves, and that's
Well,
not
you come in
here.
the summer.
It's the summer, right? And
Yeah.
I think in winter you guys get some nice swell, right?
Yeah.
But even in summer, there's like literally a few days ago, I had a good shoulder high, beautiful, beautiful swell came in, nice plane on the reef, and you know, I'm with my wife and kids, and I can teach them, and
Yeah.
it's
Which
nice.
they're progressing today.
And they're
which is
progressing,
really cool.
right? And then it's a small, it's literally, you know, foot and a half on the side the reef. The wind is always consistent every day. We've been here 2 weeks. I've been winging every week. So come enjoy.
Good tuna tartar tacos.
Tuna tartar tacos, beautiful food.
Yeah. Thanks, George.
Gorgeous
Thanks for the
locations,
support. And thanks for always visiting us and hanging out with us, and always good chit chat. So I thought I wanted to get you on the show because you're just always fun to hang out with, and I appreciate it.
Dylan, thank you.
Yeah, man.